Brian Johnston's lawyers didn't see it coming.
Brian saw me for the first time last Sunday, and then this happened. No one obviously expected something as tragic as this to happen immediately after that.
But Kelly Wilkinson was clearly a worried woman. She'd taken out a domestic violence order and contacted police twice about her estranged husband, just days before her body was found bound and burned in her Gold Coast backyard.
That should never have to happen to anybody at all, and I do hope that justice is served. The
27-year-old mum was desperately trying to protect herself and her 3 young kids, but it wasn't enough.
Ultimately, it's a failure. Somewhere along the line, she had engaged with the system, with us, and we were unable to prevent this from occurring.
In Queensland alone, an average of 98 domestic violence orders are broken every day. That's nearly 36,000 potential Kellys each year.
The use of an apprehended violence order in most cases will increase safety and reduce risk for victims of domestic and family violence. However, it's not foolproof.
Because a piece of paper by itself without enforcement is of no value.
Victims say breaches of DV orders are too often not taken seriously enough by courts or police, who on average deal with 1 domestic violence incident every 2 minutes.
They're dragging down the reputation of the rest of the police service, and also they're, making it really difficult for women to have trust and faith that they're going to get an appropriate response when they make that call.
Fixing the system will be high on the agenda at the Women's Safety Summit in July.
We need to make sure that we stay ahead of this with technology, with enforcement, so that every woman in Australia can feel safe.
Sadly, history tells us there'll likely be more Kellys between now and then.
It's devastating to think about those AVOs not working. The good news is we've spoken to advocates today and looked at some of the research around it, and this is fixable. Like if the AVOs were enforced, there are the resources to do it. It wouldn't cost too much to do it. And we're told at least that it's really just a matter of changing the attitudes of police. And so I was reading some stories today of examples where this went wrong. And what might happen is, so someone would say, I've got my ex-husband or whatever here, and he's breaching an AVO. And the police would ask something like, well, has he threatened to kill you? And has he engaged in any kind of physical assault? And they'd say, well, no. And the police would say, oh, OK, well, then we won't come out.
So just don't ask those questions.
So they're not they're not seeing the escalation come. Yeah. And if you could change that, now I'm not saying it can fix everything, but if you could change that, it seems from the expertise we're leaning on that would make a huge difference.
Yeah.
That's fixable.
Yeah. As soon as they're breaking the AVO, that's when you react.
Yeah, yeah. And if it's not a resources issue, then that's something we can do. If this story has raised any concerns, National 24-hour counselling helpline and support is available by calling 1-800-RESPECT. That number again, 1-800-737-732. From expert opinions to in-depth analysis and reporting, the Project YouTube brings you the biggest stories from Australia and around the globe. Hit the subscribe button now for news delivered straight to your feed.